This is Joe again with another review. Instead of doing a movie or television show, I'm going to be doing a a video of the second half of the baseball season. I only did a video of the start of the 2014 season. Now, tonight, the day I'm doing this video, the so-called second half of the season starts tonight. We just had the All-Star game a couple of days before. And of course, some of the big topics that came up this week was during the All-Star game itself, which everybody back with the Derek Jeter show. I am the so-called greatest shortstop of all time, which we all know is bullshit. Excuse my language, because I'm one of a few rants in this video. Because as you see, the guy who I'm wearing on my shirt, well, screw you, Yankee fans. This guy right here, Cal Ripken Jr., is a shortstop. Is the greatest shortstop in the last 40 years. Derek Jeter is not a shortstop. He is and I have to say it, he's a homosexual shortstop. No question about it. He is gayer than springtime, alright? And to say that he is better than Cal Ripken Jr. is a joke, right? And he wouldn't even get the double he got in the first inning of this year's All-Star game if it wasn't for Adam Wainwright. And of course, that's the big controversy of this year's All-Star game, was that the Adam Wainwright, who started the game for the National League team, was suing off fat pitches to Derek Jeter. And sure enough, he got a double and eventually scored the first run of this year's All-Star game. And of course, I was positive that Jeter was going to get the MVP of the All-Star game because it was his last game. I guess they don't want to give it to a Yankee 2 years in a row, because last year in the Mets All-Star game, which was the first All-Star game they had in 49 years, they gave it to Mariano Rivera. So everybody thought that Jeter was going to get the MVP of the All-Star game, which thank God he didn't. He got stepped by David Trout from the Angels. Trout won the MVP from the Angels, which is a good thing for baseball. So during the game, Adam Wainwright admitted that he threw up fat ones to Jeter, and of course, when the news got out that Wainwright admitted they were throwing up fat ones to Derek Jeter, he later apologized for saying it. If Bud Selig had any balls, which he doesn't, he would suspend Adam Wainwright for the rest of the season for doing it. Because before 2002, the All-Star game is a glorified exhibition game. And after the 2002 All-Star game, which ended in a tie, every year since it was made, this time it counts. Fap. And to get whichever league wins the All-Star game, the league will have home field advantage in the World Series, starting from 2003 on up. And the majority of the time, the American League team won. Me personally, I know a lot of, I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio practice the whole week, and they hated the fact that before then, the World Series, not only the All-Star game, but the World Series was alternated. It means 1 year the American League team has home field, and then the next year will be the National League team. And it used to be, before the '94 strike, it used to be in the even numbered years was the National League team having home field advantage, and in the odd numbered years will be the American League team. And then after the '94 strike, they went back for the odd numbered years National League, even numbered years the American League team had home field. Because the National League got holes in the '94 strike, so they're saying, let's make it up to them and have the home field advantage in 1995. So this is not sports talk radio. So let's have the team with the best record and have home field in the World Series. That I don't like. I like when it's alternated every year to be fair, because let's say the American League team would have the best, or a team in the American League would have the best record, let's say, for the 10 years, and you're not going to have a National League team champion have home field advantage for 10 years, which is not, to me, is not fair. Have it alternated every single year is more fair, more politically correct. That's why I like it that way, more fashion that way. Because nobody complained about that type of thing when the World Series was created. Nobody complained about it. Then, or in the 50s to the 60s, when the Yankees were, of course, the best, always had the best record, a good chunk of the time, they never complained about home field advantage. As far as I know, nobody brought stuff like that up at that time. They just played the games when they played, and that's how baseball fans should be. Well, that's one of the other big complaints they had, and well, sticking with the All-Star game for now. One of the big complaints was I'm surprised that this did not happen. Was that Joe Buck, who was the worst announcer, a baseball announcer on the planet, in my opinion. He has a great announcer's voice, but here's my next big man. But he stinks. I hate his personality. I always say that he's more interested in doing gimmicks on the air than announcing damn baseball games. When he's doing football, he's fine. But when he announces baseball, this is my big pet peeve with Joe Buck, whose father was Jack Buck, and when his father announced games, he announced, like old school. He just went out there and announced the games. What Joe Buck does, he complains about everything about the game. For example, if a game starts, let's say at 7 o'clock, when Fox will broadcast a game at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and if the game goes 3 hours to 10 o'clock, and the game is not over yet, he does this. It is now 10 o'clock in the East, and we're still playing. He does that almost every damn time. He does it during regular season games. He does that during the last 2 All-Star games. He hasn't done it, which I'm surprised about. But he does it in playoff games. He does it in World Series games. He does it in regular season games. And he's always whining like a little baby. Boo hoo hoo! The game is too long. The game is too long. In almost every stupid time, and that bothers the hell out of me. Now, I grew up watching the old NBC Game of the Week with Vince Scully and Joe Graciola in the 70s and throughout most of the 80s. I never once heard, and once in a while they will broadcast a game during the week, during the summer, so like in July and August. Sometimes they'll broadcast a game, let's say on a Friday night sometimes. I never once heard Vince Scully, who was a Hall of Fame announcer, complain about the length of these games. He never once says, oh, it's now 10 o'clock in the East and we're still playing. Joe Buck does this constantly. I mean constantly. And if you watch enough games on Fox, if he happens to be the announcer, he pay attention to this stuff, because he does it all the time. Drives me up the wall. Because the reason why it really drives me up the wall is because he also announces football games for Fox. He's like the lead broadcaster for Fox for baseball and for football. And a few years ago, I forgot what Super Bowl was. I think it was maybe Super Bowl 42 or 43. The game went in real time. 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is like the longest Super Bowl in real time. The game started at 6. Well, all the Super Bowl games started about 6:30 Eastern Time, and the game ended at 10:15 at night. During the Eastern Time Zone, it's about 10:15 at night. Not once did I hear Joe Buck complain, "Oh, it's not 10 o'clock in the East, and we're still playing." We're still playing the Super Bowl at 10 o'clock at night. or football playoff game. So 10 o'clock in the Eastern we're still playing. I never hear him criticize the length of football games, and people complain. And there's also one of the complaints I've heard this week on Sports Talk Radio is the fact that how long baseball games are going. Oh yeah, how about all you geniuses out there who call up the sports talk stations complaining about the length of baseball games? Or how about complaining about the length of football games? I want to rant here for a few minutes because I never once in my entire life ever hear someone complain about the length of a football game. Never. I never hear anybody complain or me, because when I was a kid growing up, I used to watch the CBS lineup on Sunday nights. Except for 60 Minutes, I used to watch all the other shows. And there were comedies that they had Archie Bunker or All in the Family, which then eventually became Archie Bunker's place when they spun off the show. One Day at a Time, Alice, the Jeffersons, and then at 10 o'clock, supposedly at 10 o'clock, Trouble John M.D. And that was back in the days when CBS used to broadcast the NFC or the NFL. Then after the merge with the NFC games, on CBS. And I know I never heard anybody complain that instead of the shows being on at 8 o'clock, and nowadays is worse. But I don't hear nobody complain about the time of these games. They push back the show. Sometimes it wasn't so bad, it was like 5 or 10 minutes. Since I was younger and went to sleep a lot earlier, to go to school the next day, my parents let me stay up another 5-10 minutes to watch the end of an episode. In some cases it was 20 minutes late. I'm running off. Sometimes it was weird, like 17 minutes late, or 18 minutes late, or 26 minutes late, or 23 minutes late. It got ridiculous. And I don't hear anybody complain. And those were the days before they even had a VCR. You get DVRs or TiVos. You didn't even have VCRs in those days. And there's no way to record these games. These shows, if they're on late, because of a football game, then you have to stay up an extra 20 minutes or even longer. You stay up late to watch these shows, because otherwise you're going to be out of luck. You won't be able to see these shows. And I don't hear anybody at that time or even now complaining these shows being on late because of the football games. Nowadays it's worse. Well, Fox, does a good job, so that way the shows will start late. Or the animation, like The Simpsons or Family Guy, doesn't start late. Really, you like it happens once a year on Fox. But CBS, they don't give a SHIT, they don't give a shit if their games start late. They sometimes with The Good Wife, in the last 3-4 years, The Good Wife, which is the best show on television. I don't care about Mad Men or Walking Dead or any other shows on cable TV or Boardwalk Empire. The Good Wife is the best show on TV. And sometimes the show is on 40 minutes late, 50 minutes late, 56 minutes late, 48 minutes late, because of football. And I'm very, very surprised that the producers of The Good Wife and the actors of The Good Wife don't complain to get that show or any other show off Sunday night until after the football season is over. Then you can put it on Sunday night, because then it'll be on time. But then unfortunately you have the basketball tournament in March, you have various golf tournaments like the Masters in April, and they push the shows back. So CBS is awful when dealing with their Sunday night shows. Always have been, always will, and nobody complains about it. So when I hear people complain about the length of baseball, like a 1-0 game going 3 hours, or a 4-hour game going 1-0 game goes 4 hours, I said, when are these idiots going to complain about football games that will start, let's say it starts at 4 o'clock, ends at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and instead of the prime time show starting at 8 o'clock, they start like at 9 o'clock. and the 11 o'clock news instead in New York, instead of the news coming on 11 o'clock, goes on 12 o'clock, 12 midnight. And why on the networks or on these shows or the local news reports, why don't they ever complain about the length of football games? You know why? I tell you why. Because they have money on the stupid games. That's why. So don't give a shit. Because they have the office pools, they got their own fantasy football leagues, and all the other nonsense they do to keep themselves interested in the games. That's why they don't say shit. I call football the Teflon sport. Because people are afraid to criticize the goddamn games. On the length of these games, when it takes forever to play these games. And college football is worse. Because they start games at say at 12 o'clock on Saturdays, and sometimes they don't end until like 4 o'clock. It takes like a 4-hour game to play a football game, but nobody complains because the game's during the day. But I don't care if the game is during the day, 12 noon, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or even the Monday night games at 9 o'clock. I don't care. If you don't criticize football games, the same way you do baseball, you're being hypocrites about it. You really are being hypocrites for not criticizing football as you do about baseball, complaining about length of games. If you want to, the reason why baseball games are going as slow as they are, I tell you exactly what the reason is. Because every goddamn batter has to make a pitcher throw 20, at least 30 or 40 pitches a night. That's what takes so long. Every stupid count, we're talking about every batter goes 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, every count. To every single batter. That's what takes so long. If a batter hits the first pitch they sees and they either make an out or they get a hit, the game will go a lot faster. That's the problem. Because the hitting coaches are encouraging the batters, no matter what league it is, major leagues or minor leagues, encouraging batters to make the pitcher throw as many pitches as humanly possible, because they know the pitchers are on stupid pitch counts. This isn't like when it was 30 or 40 years ago, or 50 or 60 years ago, the pitchers would throw all 9 innings, and doesn't matter how many pitches they throw, they pitch all 9 innings. Unless they give up, let's say 20 runs in the first inning, then they get taken out. But that's on necessity. But then pitchers will go all 9 innings. And it doesn't matter how many pitches they throw all 9 innings. Not today. And we're lucky if the starting pitcher throws 6 or 7 innings today. Unless they're pitching a no-hitter or a perfect game, then they give them a chance to go through all 9 innings. But if you watch a baseball game carefully, every single at bat takes about 10 minutes. That's for one at bat. That's what takes so long. Not because the commercials don't help either. But that's why baseball games go so long. That reason alone. And it takes the pitcher about 10 minutes to throw one pitch. Maybe like 2 or 3 minutes to throw one pitch. For example, there was a pitcher for the Mets, he was a pitcher for the Cubs for a while, and then was for Tampa Bay, named Steve Faxel. He would take 5 minutes just to throw one pitch, on average. And one time I saw him in a game, and was yelling, "Throw the ball!" He went in the first inning because it took so long to throw a pitch. It was ridiculous. He would tug on his shirt, he would adjust his pants, adjust his glove, take his glove off, whoop up the ball, and it would take so long. And I got disgusted, and I was yelling, "Throw the ball!" I was yelling it so loud and so often, other people picked up on, and they were chanting, "Throw the ball" during the game. And the announcer, I think it was Steve O'Brien, was announcing for the Mets then, ex-Tom Seaver, who was also then announcing for the Mets. Have you ever heard fans chanting, "Throw the ball" in the game? He says, "No, I never heard before in my life." And when Steve Trachtenberg threw a ball, threw a pitch, no one went, "Yay!" because he threw the ball, because it was ridiculous. That's what takes long, because the pitchers are not And the umpires are now enforcing the rule to have pitchers take 15 seconds between pitches. If they did that, then the umpires would say, hey, we're going to call a ball on you if you don't throw a pitch right now. That's why it takes so long. That's what slows the games down. Me, as a lifelong baseball fan, majority of the time I don't care how long the game goes. It doesn't bother me. I watch the game. I'm not saying the game. But if I sit in the comfort of my living room or my bedroom, wherever I'm watching the game from, and I watch the game, it doesn't matter how long, because I can always shut the TV off a little bit and find out the next morning who won whatever game I'm watching. But if you actually spend money for to go to the game and it takes forever, you have to go to work the next morning. It takes forever. For example, last night I was watching the Brooklyn's because SNY, which is the Met Sports station, since there was no baseball games till the day I'm doing this video, they broadcasted the Brooklyn Cyclones game from Coney Island in Brooklyn, and it was a 10-inning game. It was a 10-inning game, but the game went 4 hours. 10, which is like one of the longest games I've ever seen with the Cyclones, because those games usually go pretty, well, minor league games in general usually go pretty fast. As a matter of fact, one of the first games I went to went 2 hours. It was the first Brooklyn Cyclones Staten Island Yankee game in Coney Island. It went 2 hours. The game went so fast, it was home by 9:30. And that's for me riding on the subway for between an hour and a half and 2 hours, because how long it takes from going from my house in Queens to go to Coney Island in Brooklyn. When you're in the subway system and you know the way it is, it takes me that long to get between an hour and a half and an hour and 45 minutes. That's why I do Brooklyn, Coney Island in Brooklyn. And sometimes because the games go so long, I have such a long train ride. Very, very few times I sit there for a full game, especially if it's during the week. On the weekends, maybe you get away with it on the weekends because the game started earlier. But if the game doesn't end by 8:30, I'm out of there, because it takes me almost 2 hours to get home. I'm home almost by 10:30 by the time I get home. So, good night. So imagine if I stayed there for that game, and the game doesn't end after 11. I won't be home till like 12:31, between 12:31 in the morning. Most likely at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's how long the train ride is. So, for me. So that's what people complain about, because they have to go home. But like I said earlier, nobody complains about the length of football games. That's why a lot of people are trying to push to have the day after the Super Bowl declared a national holiday, which is never ever going to happen. The only way we get the day off is if they put the Super Bowl on Saturday instead of a Sunday. That'll be the only way they're going to do it. And I don't think the NFL is going to do it. They should do it, so that way you can have on the day off on Sunday to recover from your hangovers. That's what it is. Because people go to Super Bowl parties, they go to bars, or people who actually have the money to actually physically go to the game. They booze it up, and they're so hungover. Because like I said, in the East, it starts at 6:30 at night and doesn't end but this year the game ended early because it was such a blowout. It ended like 9:45. But like I said earlier before, when the Super Bowl game went 3 hours and 45 minutes, games have to end after 10, and you don't even get home to like midnight until you get your car out of the parking lot. But they don't have any public transportation. You go to various stadiums, and you get home like after midnight or 1 in the morning. You have to go to work. You have to get up like 6 in the morning, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, or even earlier than that, to go to work the next day. And you're all hungover. Well, who's stupid enough to booze it up? You are. You are responsible for it. Not this. Well, the NFL should not have the game at 6:30 at night. When the Super Bowl first started, it started like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the Eastern Time Zone, and by 7 o'clock or 6:30, 7 o'clock, depending how long the game goes. Let's say the game starts at 2 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, the game is over. But hey, because they want to get more prime time money, they start the game at 6:30, and you won't fall for boozing it up, guys. But it's true they should have start the Super Bowl game such a lot earlier. And I'm more worried about people in California, because the game starts at 6:30 here, it starts at 3:30 there. Or even in Hawaii, where it starts a lot earlier, where it just starts at 1:30. Because it's 5 hours during winter time and 6 hours during the summer. Because they don't flip the clocks when it's daylight savings time. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that football is not being criticized for the length of their games as baseball has been. And nobody brings it up when they call up. I'm so tempted to call, but I don't want to have my phone will go up waiting on hold for one of the radio stations for over an hour. But I'm ticked off. That's why I'm doing this video mostly criticizing football that baseball season. Because I feel that's an outrage as a baseball fan. These idiots who host these radio shows, and the bigger idiots who actually call on these radio shows, do not criticize football for the length of the games. Until you do so, do not criticize baseball for the length of their games, because you can criticize basketball for their games too. Because I remember there was one particular game, it was on Christmas, between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. On Christmas, I think it was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day itself. They were playing a Christmas game, and so they're playing 2 minutes left in the game. So I'm thinking, oh wait, what's for 2 minutes? 20 minutes later, you know how many times they put off the clock in 20 minutes? 15 seconds. Right? So basketball and football are the two worst sports. Hockey is great in terms of ending the how fast they end the games, but not basketball or football. People can say baseball for how long it goes. Like I said earlier, Vince Scully never complained about how when he used to do the national broadcast for NBC, he never criticized. The only time I can remember him criticizing how the length of a game was Game 2 of the 1986 World Series. Because that game went game started, I think, about like 8:15. The game ended about 3 hours and 37 minutes later. It was the longest night, at that time, was the longest ninth inning game, or 9 inning game, because the Red Sox just blew out the Mets and saying, well, they didn't score more than 10. They scored like 9-3. It was the final score of that game. When the game was over, it was a nightmare for the Mets. It was like 3 hours, and Vince Scully mentioned 3 hours and 37 minutes. It was the only time I can ever remember Vince Scully complaining about all the years I watched him and listened to him announce the national broadcast game. That he ever complained about the time, or how late the game. Or he didn't complain how late the game ended. He complained about the time of the game. That's the only time he mentioned the whole World Series length of the game. And every time when Joe Buck announces the game, that's what he does. Complains about, he mentions the time. Complains, oh, it's 10 o'clock in the East and we're still playing. Nonsense. And unfortunately, for the rest of the season, that's what you're going to have to put up with. Especially when the playoffs start and the World Series start in October. And I do hope that this will. And I'm tired. I don't know how many other baseball fans out there are tired of this nonsense about praising Derek Jeter. Now I'm going to go back to baseball a little bit, because I hate Derek Jeter. He is the most overrated, selfish, and gay player in the major league. And I mean that seriously. I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend people who or the homosexuals out there. But I do feel that Derek Jeter is, has that lifestyle. So how can you say that he dates all these beautiful women? Yeah, has he married anyone? That's the thing. Because I feel he's being phony about dating all these women. Because he dated Mariah Carey back in the day when he first came up. He's dating Marla Hannah Davis, who's getting more and more exposure in Sports Illustrated and other magazines. And he dumped her. Now, if anybody who's dating someone who looks like Hannah Davis and dumps him, you know there's gotta be something wrong with the guy. Seriously. Sexually. But to have him praising him like this, like the commercial in the All-Star game, tip the hats, the stupid Nike commercial, warning him at the All-Star game, and all this crap. Like I said, this guy, Cal Ripken Jr. was a shortstop, right? He is the best shortstop the game's had in the last 40 years. And Derek Jeter, that's true. Last couple of years, Derek Jeter's been hurt, but not once, I think maybe once in his whole career, Derek Jeter played all 162 games. Cal Ripken played all 162 games for 17 consecutive years. Derek Jeter, the so-called, or the captain, only did maybe once, if that, maybe twice, maybe. Ripken did it for 17 years, playing every single game. And there were times when he wasn't the master champion, because there was one time they always had a brawl fight in the first game of the season, and he sprained his ankle. Next day, fortunately, the Orioles had an off day. If they didn't have an off day, he would have ended his consecutive games streak. And then continued to play. Remember, they called Ripken selfish for continuing the streak as long as it was. I think Derek Jeter is selfish. Let me tell you what, when the Yankees signed Alex Rodriguez was that time was one home run away from tying Cal Ripken's record for hitting the most home runs by a shortstop. And Derek Jeter, of course, was getting older. He was only playing for 8 years in the major leagues already. He could have easily moved over to third and let Rodriguez play short, so that he could break Ripken's home run record, which he could have done. But Jeter is such a selfish pig. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even accept Rodriguez on the team as a teammate. And he still doesn't. Well, now you have an excuse because he was a steroid user. But I feel that Jeter is the most overrated player. I mean, I know shortstops were better than he was. In fact, you can't compare Derek Jeter to Ozzie Smith defensively, or Cal Ripken defensively. You can't compare him as a hitter. The majority of his hits, or most of his home runs, he doesn't even have 300 home runs. Cal Ripken has over 430 home runs in his career. Derek Jeter doesn't even have half that number. So you're going to say that Jeter is the better shortstop over this guy? You're nuts. Anybody who says that and the reason why people are saying that is because how many of these that Ripken got? Truly, you only know one, but a lot of his career he played on lousy Orioles teams, especially after '83 when the Orioles finally won. But how many MVPs? Let me tell you this. Let me ask you this: all you stupid Yankee fans out there, how many MVP awards has Derek Jeter won? I'm talking about regular season MVPs. And I'm talking about he won I think maybe like 2 MVPs awards in his career. And there's way back in 2000 when he won the MVP of the All-Star game. And he won the All-Star game against the MVP against the Mets in 2000 World Series. That's it. He never won a regular season MVP, and Ripken won 2. One in 83 and one in 1991. Jeter wasn't even close to ever winning one. So you're going to tell me who was the better player or who was the better shortstop? You're going to lose the argument with me, guys. You stupid Yankee fans out there. You pieces of garbage out there who think Derek Jeter is the second coming of Christ. And he is the worst. And hopefully, if there's a God, the Yankees will not make the playoffs this year. Unless they happen to get hot, which I don't see it coming, because Tanaka, the Japanese store, is most likely might have Tommy John surgery coming out not only the rest of this season, but next season as well. Sabathia is going to be probably out for the rest of the year with his knee problems. And the bullpen stinks. They can't, and the Yankees can't hit Ward that fell off a boat. And of course you have a 40-year-old shortstop. At least when Ripken turned 40, he moved over to third base, which was his original position when he first came up. Jeter is not moving for shortstop for anybody. He's not moving for A-Rod, or A-Royd. He's not going to move for himself. And for the Mets, well, the Mets are not going to go anywhere either. True, the division is bad, but I'm hoping that to see maybe Oakland will win the World Series, which they haven't won in 25 years. And well, when the last time the Oakland won the World Series was during the famous Earthquake World Series in 1989. But I do hope that maybe Oakland will win. But the biggest joke is that Oakland is still the only major league team that shares their stadium with a football team, because they share with the Oakland Raiders. So if Oakland manages to get into the playoffs and hopefully the World Series, they probably will have to lose home field advantage at some point, maybe either the first round, the second round, or maybe even the World Series, because the Raiders might have a couple of home games scheduled. That's what happened with the Mets in '86, which I mentioned in my scoring of the Mets videos. They might have it with Oakland because they're the only team. And the amazing thing is, when the Mets got screwed in '86 with the home field advantage in the playoffs, that's the type of crap. And still at that time, majority by at least half the stadiums, the baseball teams share the baseball stadiums with the football team. That hasn't happened since. In almost 30 years, it might happen this time. Well, I know there's a long video. I'm going to run a pretty long rant on this thing. I know I'm going to do a preview of the second half, but before they get to vent and get this crap, this criticism of baseball games off my chest, and to criticize Joe Buck, which he should be criticized for, but to let this nonsense go on, but criticizing like the baseball games and then criticizing football for the length of their games, you're being I want to make the point again. You're being hypocrites about it. Very hypocritical, but not criticizing football for it. And it's a disgrace. It's an total disgrace. I have to say it. And to say that Derek Jeter is the greatest shortstop of all time is also it's just as bad as on my Seinfeld review. I call Seinfeld the greatest sitcom of all time, when I could name about 20 sitcoms that were better than that. Same thing with Derek Jeter. You can't tell me that Cal Ripken Jr. is not a better player than Derek Jeter is. Why? Because Derek Jeter's got more hits? Who cares? Cal Ripken is the greatest shortstop, American League shortstop of all time. And anybody who says otherwise don't know what the hell they're talking about. And if they put Jeter in the Baseball Hall of Fame, they should shut it down. Well, we're going to get into another video talking about the Hall of Fame maybe eventually. Especially this year's Hall of Fame class. Well, maybe do that another time. Well, thank you for watching the video. I know it's long. I apologize for its length. Please click a like on the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.